The Federal Environmental Protection Agency in early August issued its first ever rule to limit carbon emissions from existing power plants. So what exactly is Michigan doing to respond? Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Hess and this is Comcast Newsmakers. Joining me now is the Executive Director of the Michigan Agency for Energy, Valerie Brader. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So you should be the perfect person to answer that question. Here's this big mandate from the federal government. And so how did we respond here in Michigan?
Well, under the rule, we had two choices: either let the federal government write our plan for us or write our own plan. And Michigan's decided to take control of its own energy future and come up with a plan together to comply with this rule.
And the government liked our plan?
We have not yet put together the plan, but we've only got a year to do it,
Okay.
really to understand where we need to be and what we'd like to do, some big decisions to make. And what we decided is that we'd like to spend the next year figuring out how we'd like to answer that instead of waiting for the federal government to answer it for us.
Do we have any idea how, if there are portions of what we would like, or, how the feds may respond? Is there going to be some parts of it that they're going to say, fine, that looks good, and other parts that it might be a little more challenging to convince them this is how we want to go?
Well, I think that'll depend on the answers that when we have all of our stakeholders together, we develop. I know that the rule is pretty complicated. It was more than 2,000 pages long when you included both parts. So there's a lot to dive into there, and we're going to be pushing really hard to make sure that our plan is something that the federal government can accept, to avoid, again, them deciding for us what we'll be doing.
Why not just accept their plan? Were there certain challenges or things that, we looked at and said, oh, no way, that's not going to work for us?
Well, there were parts of their rule that we didn't think really responded to Michigan's comments. So first of all, we thought, frankly, we could do a better job than they could in their one-size-fits-all approach. The other reason we thought it was really important to get out in front is because they didn't tell us what the federal plan will be. It's develop your own or wait and see what we may tell you to do.
And who's developing this plan? And you said in about a year it has to be done no matter what, right?
Yeah, well, from the government side, the state government agencies are really working together. So the Michigan Agency for Energy, our Environmental Quality Department, and the Public Service Commission, as well as the MEDC, our Economic Development Corporation, are all going to work together. We're also really going to need some legislative, crucial input there. But in general, we're really going to be reaching out to all kinds of stakeholders to also understand what they think would be a best compliance plan for Michigan.
Is this overall a good thing? Is this going to help the environment here in Michigan, or is this just us spending a whole lot of money to jump through a whole bunch of hoops?
Well, it depends on who you ask. I will say that while they did take some of our comments when we gave suggestions on this rule originally, there were some big areas in which they didn't. So they did help us on competitiveness. Michigan, in the original proposal, was really disadvantaged because even though we've done more to clean up our power sector than our surrounding states, we had more to do than they did, which was really, we thought, unfair. And in the final rule, they did recognize Michigan's leadership in this area compared to other states. And that is very positive for us because we've had a 5-year average of bringing down our industrial rates. They fell 8% last year. So we're really seeing that in terms of the economic development that's come into Michigan. And we are very concerned that this rule would block that. And we do feel, and at least in that comment, they heard us, and it's not now standing in the way of our ability to compete with surrounding states.
All right, so some good news and a lot of work to do, it sounds like. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Today's Comcast Newsmaker was Valerie Brader, the Executive Director of the Michigan Agency for Energy.